question. Ronald says, if we get the balance, what price do we lighten up on Bitcoin? So where would we want to sell here? So that would be at 87,700-ish. You know, it's hard to put an exact number on it because so we have this resistance trend line through here, briefly acted as support, support, support. So this is a significant trend line. We don't have to understand why these work, guys. They just do. But so we have, as we push higher, the 21-day will come down. But let's say we push up here. I'd say between 87.7, let's call it 87.5. I would set some sell limit orders, as well as the sell block 88 and 89.9, the midpoint, and then all the way up to here. There's no one price in there. What do we do with this situation? You know, that's why when I'm buying Solana and setting my sorry guys, trying to move my mouth and my brain and all of that same time and my hands. Okay, so in this is the zone. So let's say you wanted to sell $10,000 of Bitcoin, lighten up your position, not sell all of it because it could racket higher at any time, right? So what I would suggest, I made that too big. Hold on a second. The sell zone is in actually pretty small. Now why in here? Resistance here at this trend line, so 85, 87.5, I think I said. It could push up here to the lower edge of the sell block, 88, but 87.5 is essentially the same thing. So I would do 87.5. Midpoint of the sell block is 89.5. You know, and I usually do that on Solana. I'll do it every $5 on Solana. The equivalent here would be like every 2,000. So 87.5, 89.5, all the way up here to 91. 91. So this is that area, but where do I want to have my alerts set just so I'm aware of it? You know, it might seem like overkill, but you know, it is, you know, how you do anything is how you do everything. And you'd hate to miss it, right? And then have it drop down. But there's a lot of sell pressure here. I would sell half. And I'm going to mark this. Make sure you're marking this so you don't get confused. Because when the alerts go off, you look at it, you're half awake, you're like, all right, I'll just ignore that. I forget what that means. But sell BTC to DCA. DCA lower. Everyone got it? So hopefully that makes sense, Ronald. It's an art and a science, you know. But that would be the prudent way to handle this. Because even if it pushes higher into this and pulls back, which it should, and even though, you know, let's say we're ultra bullish on this, we still need to put in a higher low. And the ideal thing we would see is this kind of a movement. Why? Because then we'd have a inverse head and shoulders. But we're just speculating at this point. We either need to see a test of the lows, which we kind of saw down here at the CME gap. So maybe that was it. But there's really no buyers down here, and that's why I'm not inclined to think that was it. Okay. So if we get the balance, I'd sell half and buy back lower. If we put in a higher low, buy it back. But the thing is, and for those of you that are long-term holders, the problem with this strategy, this is an active trader strategy. If you sell with the intent of buying back and you go on a cruise and you forget to buy back and it rockets higher, then you've missed out. So that's why you don't sell all of it. All right, I think we've covered that. Some things popping up on the iPad, some news, nothing really that important. I did want to touch on some news. Bitcoin surges to 82K amid SEC's ETF delays. I don't know why that would surge, but Loomis has reintroduced the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve to buy potentially. Now this won't happen right away, and this is kind of old news here. And Vladimir Putin saying nobody can ban Bitcoin. That's good. The Bank of Russia is looking to allow crypto purchases. See, there's all these like strong tailwinds lurking. UAE company invests $2 billion in Binance, the largest investment into a crypto venture. Yeah, that's good. Maybe they'll put Bybit out of the business. And I don't know. I don't want to see anybody go out of business. It hurts the industry, but these offshore exchanges really Hard to know what's really happening and who's pulling the strings. Okay, we're not going to do news. Bitcoin jumps 82K. March 12th today. SEC ETF delays trigger investor panic. Ignore all this clickbait here. 25,000 Bitcoins hacked. We're not going to watch that. ATU, say SEC delay in XRP decisions. Okay, so that's why things are selling off. It's noise, you guys. The SEC is delaying on XRP, Dogecoin, Litecoin ETF decisions, creating market uncertainty. Notice they didn't say Solana though. By the way, I'm going to post I was watching something this morning on Banter. Not speculating, but Solana, they are proposing, some of the prominent holders, proposing a deflationary change to the way the tokens are handled. That would be very good. And remember when ETH surged when they came out with EI 551559 or whatever that supposedly was going to make it deflationary. It hasn't helped the overall long term, but so Solana, I don't keep an eye on Solana. There's some cool things happening there. I don't know. I don't have any inside information, but I'm watching it real close. And I think that, with all of everything else and the alts down 10%, some of those on a day, and Sol was only down 5%, tells me that the sellers are getting exhausted on Solana. Now, some of these unlocks still are coming out next month and this month and the month after. So, but you would expect to have seen a larger sell-off where that 125 area is getting accumulated. So we'll pull that up next. All right. Here, the crypto market is increasingly tied to traditional finance, increasing the likelihood of a pullback to the 70 to 74K range. So that's what we just covered. And let's see. Excuse me, Bitcoin Act. So you can look that up here. This doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's got to pass. Geez, mouth's not working today. It still has to pass the House and Congress. Guys, I've been up super late, kind of doing stuff for Moonstream Academy and editing video and things. So, brain is working on 6 cylinders instead of 8, arguably 8. First 6 billion in remittances from reserve banks to. Yeah, so that's interesting. How would they fund that? Under the bill, between 2025 and 2029, the first 6 billion in remittances from reserve banks would go toward building the Bitcoin reserves. So that, therefore, not taxpayer money directly, backed by the Federal Reserve's gold certificates. That's why Trump was going to say, hey, let's go make sure we have some gold in there. Some speculate in the future other major cryptos could be included in this reserve. Yeah, so that's still in the wings, and probably, well, no, I have added it to the case for 150K Bitcoin, the strategic reserve. So, anyway, I said we wouldn't do news. We're not going to do news. Trueflation coming in cold, very nice though, in the right direction. So, but the lower it goes, the harder it is to do further interest rate cuts in QE. So we'll have to see how that plays out. All right, so let's keep going here. We've talked about total market cap. I'm just going to spin through this real quick. And so total 2, all seeing some red stuff. Total 3 is not looking as bad. That's everything but Bitcoin and Ethereum. So are we setting up for an altcoin bounce here? The Fibonacci thing that I drew there is sort of low to high. Yeah, it's sort of contained. It went down a little past the golden pocket, so we'll take that off. But this long-standing trend line on altcoins in place. Look at that, you guys. Glad we pulled it up. So we have an ERI, we have an RSI. This is essentially the altcoin chart. And look at that. My squiggly thing there I've had for some time. Let's see. What would be our validation? We want to see if this comes up above here. It has some resistance, but if we get back above 850, I want to do it on the number, not the trend line. Back above 850, that would be interesting and tradable. I would be buying here. Buy alts. Why? Well, if they're going up and Bitcoin and ETH are struggling, We have an ERI. We have the RSI. We're waiting on a couple more to kick in, but and it's oversold on the weekly time frame. Let's keep an eye on that, you guys. Let's see. By the way, I keep hearing more and more good things about Ondo. Don't count Ondo out. I think it's going to be a leader in DeFi and traditional finance. That being said, DeFi not looking so good. So we'll have to evaluate as we go. Lots of sell pressure overhead. Eventually that'll bottom. And for reassurance, go back to this weekly. Guys, just really pay attention to this. And soon will be time to be buying on these areas. When markets go to oversold, they revert to the mean. And on this next leg up on DeFi, I think it'll be a good one. We had a huge push up here, and then it was over. We weren't paying attention as much as possible here. We had the ERI, but no, the red boxes were there. We had the RSI Pro. Really going to be watching that. That's been so valuable on these weekly time frames. Bearish divergence, call the market top. We didn't have it then, but that was a confirming signal on the market top. Sure enough, here back in December, what did we do? We're like, well, that can't be right. This time's different. We're going higher because it's the bull run. Oops. But when this goes green again and we get a green RSI Pro, in fact, let's set an alert on this. We're still learning the nuances to all this stuff. And if you guys have discovered anything that you want to share with me, don't discount the fact that you might have discovered something that I hadn't seen. That's why it's going to be good to get Sam back in the group, because he was doing some neat stuff and just overlaying all the indicators on the charts and testing and experimenting. All right, I want to set an alert on the RSI Pro on the weekly. If that turns green, green is go, time to go higher. And let's look at the daily too. Hey, this is Brett from Moonstream. If you'd like to learn more about our pro trading signals or our live classes every Wednesday or our Retire Rich program, go over to moonstream.io/start.